Let's go on a doer and action search.
There were quite a few sentences in this excerpt where Vladimir Putin asked, are there any difficulties? Are there any problems? Any objections? So a lot of sentences contained this verb есть, which, you already know this, means there is or exists, and it is used in the construction у меня есть. In my universe exists something, which is equivalent to the English I have. So Vladimir Putin was asking the minister, the deputy minister, are there any difficulties? Are there any problems? And now I want to talk a little bit about the word order. When we use this construction, this verb, есть, we may have two options, two word orders. For example, у тебя есть деньги? So this is a standard word order in this construction. In somebody's universe, in this case, in your universe, in your personal world, there is money. Or in Russian, actually, money is plural. That is why I wrote, are there money? But of course, it's, is there money? Incorrect English. Or we can say, у тебя деньги есть? So we can flip this around and we can put the subject before the verb. So what is the difference between these word orders? When it's a standard word order, we just want to know, is there or isn't there something? Do you have something or do you not have something? And it doesn't have any connotation. It's a neutral in a connotation sentence. So if I ask, у тебя есть деньги? I just want to know whether you have money. Probably I want to borrow some, or I'm interested who is going to pay for dinner. I don't know. But I'm just saying it to find out, is there money in your universe or not? If I switch the word order here and I emphasize this word, the subject, with my voice, so if I say, у тебя деньги есть? So this is like I'm assuming that probably you have been hiding something from me. So probably you have a large sum of money, but you didn't tell me, though you should have, something like that. Or I doubt that you have money. For example, you are telling me, I'm going to buy this expensive car, and I'm doubtful. У тебя деньги есть? So I will emphasize the word деньги here. You see, here we have an emotional connotation. And in our excerpt, actually, this word order was more common. So Vladimir Putin put the verb есть at the end of the sentence in most of his sentences. For example, какие-то проблемы есть? Are there any problems? У вас возражения какие-то есть по этому вопросу? And pay attention to this word. Какие-то. Возражения какие-то. Какие-то проблемы. So any problems, any objections. And when he says it like this, he assumes that probably the deputy minister has some difficulties, but he didn't tell him, or there is something else. He's not telling him the whole story. So the deputy minister is hiding something from the president. So this is like he puts emotions in his sentences. In this sentence, есть какие-то трудности? So you might ask, well, in this sentence, the word order is normal. У вас есть какие-то трудности. But again, here we have this word какие-то, which adds this emotional connotation to the sentence. Compare. When we say just «У вас есть трудности?» That's neutral in connotation. We just want to know yes or no. Are there difficulties or are there not? And but when we add какие-то, it automatically attaches an emotional connotation to the sentence. So, I hope you start noticing these differences in word order when you hear Russians use this construction with есть. And we are moving to the next topic.
Practice finding prepositions and ideas behind them.
Let's find some preposition-noun pairs in these sentences. So the first preposition I want you to notice here is the preposition по. It's used with the dative case, and the meaning here will be on some topic or in connection with something. So let's see. Мы по этому поручению отдельно, and he didn't finish the sentence, but he wanted to say доложим. We will report privately on this order. So the noun is поручение, a neutral noun, and it acquires the dative case ending here. По поручению. So we will report in connection with this order or with regards to this order. Basically, our report will be on the topic of your order, of this order. Same thing here. Отдельно доложим вам по выполнению этого поручения. So now, it's not on this order. It's on the implementation of this order. So another noun, выполнение, but the same preposition, here the same case with regards to the implementation. Again, our report, the topic of our report will be the implementation of this order. So this preposition, по plus dative, is used when you want to talk about the topic of something. Or, yes, the topic, the subject of something. For example, книга по русскому языку. So a book on the Russian language. Same idea behind this preposition. Of course, this preposition, like other Russian prepositions, has a lot of meanings, a lot of ideas behind it, and it's used with different cases. Now let's compare по этому поручению and этого поручения. So you see different endings here, because these are different cases. This was connected with the verb to report with regards to something, to report on something. And this is the of case. So same noun, same demonstrative pronoun, but a different case. The genitive case, the of case, the implementation of something. Different case, different idea. That is why we have a different ending here. We also have the genitive case here in the phrase проблем нет. So here the idea is absence. Нет, there are no problems. And the noun проблемы, plural, problems, in genitive plural becomes проблем. Again, genitive case here and genitive case here, but different ideas. So you see, one and the same case may have different ideas behind it. But the endings will be the same. If I wanted to say, there is no order, right? There is no order. Нет поручения I would use the same ending because it's genitive. It's the same case. And another case, here another preposition, под камеры. Вы не хотите говорить под камерой? Here the meaning is on camera. So actually this preposition pod means under something. And when the meaning is literally under something, the case that we would use for this meaning will be instrumental. But here it's kind of a figurative meaning here, because when you speak on camera, it doesn't mean that you are under camera, right? But you are kind of under the glance of the camera. The camera is looking at you, or cameras, plural, камеры. They are all directed, like their attention, attention because, of course, they're not people, but their glances are on you. So you are under their supervision, kind of. That is why we use pod. We can also use our standard preposition for on here, на камеры, or на камеру, one camera. So говорить под камеры, or на камеры, or на камеру. Both prepositions под and на will take accusative here.
Practice or learn the verb conjugation.
Let's talk about the verb иметь. As you know, иметь is not used in the meaning to have normally. In the meaning to have, we use a special Russian construction. У меня есть. Something exists in my personal universe. But in a formal context, we sometimes use the verb иметь. And since the conversation you heard was a formal context, the speakers did use this verb. Also, it is used in some phrases. But first, let's look at its conjugation. Info card, please. So, the verb иметь belongs to the first conjugation, and let's conjugate it. Я имею, ты имеешь, вы имеете, мы имеем, он имеет, она имеет, они имеют. So let's look at the examples. The first sentence is the sentence from the excerpt that you heard. Это будет иметь позитивные последствия. So, иметь последствия. This is kind of a collocation. To have results, or literally to have consequences, because последствие is a consequence, and последствия is the plural form of this noun. So, иметь последствия. And you can specify what kind of consequences. In this case, it's позитивные. Remember, it's an adjective in the plural form. Позитивные последствия. The next phrase is иметь в виду, a very commonly used phrase. To mean something. For example, что ты имеешь в виду? When you don't understand the meaning of the words that you are hearing, imagine that you understand the words, but you don't understand what the person is meaning by it, right? You ask, what do you mean? Like, what's your point? Что ты имеешь в виду? The next phrase is иметь что-то против чего-то или кого-то. So instead of чего-то and кого-то, we will put a noun in the genitive case. So против, this preposition takes genitive. For example, your friend is asking you, let's go to the theater tonight. Or at the weekend? And if you say no, your friend might say, а что ты имеешь против театра? So here it's против театра. The noun театр is in the genitive case. And it's kind of a contracted sentence because the full sentence, of course, would be, what do you have against going to the theater? But in colloquial speech, we are able to contract the sentence to just, what do you have against the theater? Or the idea of going to the theater. That's the meaning, of course. But we can say it like this. What do you have against the theater? Or what do you have against the zoo? Что ты имеешь против зоопарка? And so on. And another one, иметь глупость plus perfective verb. So, to have the silliness to do something. Not to think it through. For example, она имела глупость сказать ему об этом. Here иметь is in the past tense. Literally, she had the silliness, the stupidity to tell him about this. So she wasn't smart enough. She didn't think it through before telling him about this, and maybe there were some negative последствия of this action. So this is the verb иметь. Use it in these phrases. Do not use it in the meaning I have a cat, for example. And look for more phrases. Try to notice how native speakers use this verb, or ask a native speaker or your teacher how else you can use this verb, in which phrases, in which collocations. And moving on.
Let's spot some collocations and set phrases.
There are two quite similar expressions in the Russian language. Двигаться в направлении и шаг в направлении. To move in the direction or a step in the direction. So, both phrases take the noun in the prepositional case. So, направление is a neutral noun, and in the prepositional case, the neutral noun that ends in ie, these two letters, will acquire the ending ee, just like feminine nouns that end in iya, for example, Россия, в России, Russia, in Russia. And masculine nouns that have the e ending, for example, комментарий, a comment, and in the comment will be в комментарии. It's just a pronunciation nuance of such endings in the prepositional case. So, very useful expressions to move in some direction, двигаться в направлении и шаг в направлении. We can also use other nouns here instead of направление. For example, in our excerpt, Vladimir Putin says, это еще один шаг в укреплении национальной валюты. So instead of saying it's a step in the direction of strengthening, he just contracted it to it's a step in strengthening of the national currency. So in colloquial speech, we can even omit the word for direction and just put another noun that goes after the word direction, like the noun strengthening. We can even do that with the verb, with двигаться. So we can say двигаться в укреплении национальной валюты. In the colloquial speech, we are able to do that. In written language, not so much, but we are mostly talking here about colloquial speech, right? So, the preposition в and prepositional case. the same preposition and the same case is used in these phrases. В чем дело или в чем проблема. Да, в чем. When we pronounce в more like f actually. В чем. В чем дело, в чем проблема. Literally, in what is the matter and in what is the problem. So in Russian, дело or проблема is always in something. So the problem or the matter, it's located in this person or the thing. We can answer this question using the same noun, направление, проблема или дело в направлении, for example, in the direction of our movement, в направлении нашего движения. So again, very useful phrase. Bear in mind this question в чем, which is the prepositional case question. And another word here is безусловно, which is a synonym of конечно. It's like a fancy конечно, безусловно, because it's used more in a formal conversation, like the one we just heard. Yeah, it's like a very formal, official way of saying of course. You won't hear this word much in the conversation of friends, for example.
Let's find words that have the same root.
So first, let's look at the word поручение, order. It can be an official order, like the president's order, or just a task that your boss gives you, for example, or even the task that your mom gives you, поручение. It comes from the word рука, because when a person gives you a поручение, they actually trust you to do something, like they hand it to your hands, basically. So they give it to you so that you can do it. We also have a verb, поручиться, which has the same root and means to stand surety for somebody. For example, you can stand surety or you can stand bail for somebody who is being accused of something, but you can give your word or give money for them to make them free for some time. Or you can stand surety for someone who is taking a loan, and you can say, well, if they don't return the money, I will stand surety for them. In Russian, it's the same root as this word. I think because you are giving your hand. Again, it's something important. It's also connected with the word рука. And pay attention to the question that we use after this verb. So the case that we use after this verb is accusative. The preposition за, because you give something in exchange for this person's deed. It's kind of an exchange here. You give something for them, or you do something instead of them. They should do it, but you do it for them. So, за кого? Pay attention to the question word here. Кого? For whom, literally. Now let's move to this word. Соответственно. Соответственно. Correspondingly. And the root here will be ответ, answer. So how are they connected? Соответственно and ответ. Well, I would like you to think of the following. We just talked about this question. За кого? And in Russian, as you know, each question corresponds to a case form. So each case has its own question and its own form of the word, the ending of the word. So the question «за кого» corresponds to the accusative case ending. For example, «За кого ты поручился?» За Анастасию. So if you stand surety for me, you will say за Анастасию, because Anastasia is feminine, and in accusative it will be Anastasiu. So за will take this case, and the noun will be in this particular form. And it can't be any other ending here. It can't be Anastasia, it can be Anastasiei, and other endings. It can only be за Anastasiu. So the question corresponds to the answer. For each answer, ответ, we have a particular question. So that is why the word correspondingly in Russian is connected with ответ, and the root here will be ответ. Соответственно. Yes, it's not the easiest word to pronounce, but with a little bit of practice, I'm sure you will get it. Let's do it again, syllable by syllable. Соответственно. Соответственно. Practice it. And next word, последствие. Consequence. Again, not an easy word, but if we look at the English word, actually this word was difficult for me when I was a student and I studied English. Some English words present a big difficulty because you look at this spelling and you think, how can you read it? How do you read it? And without looking at the International Phonetic Alphabet, you can't actually figure it out how to read this word. In Russian, it's easier because each letter pretty much corresponds to one sound. So, последствие. You just have to pronounce it really slowly first and syllable by syllable. So don't be in a hurry. Say it slowly. And this word is related to sled, footstep. So here it's kind of logical. If someone left their footsteps, they are like the consequence of their walk. For example, on the ground or on the snow. If you see footsteps, they are the consequence of someone's presence here. So somebody was walking and leaving these footsteps. So последствие. Next one, выполнение. Выполнение. And it's related to полный, full. And the translation is completion or fulfillment. That's pretty obvious here, I think. Very good. Moving to the next one.
Learn to agree adjectives with nouns.
Let's work with some adjectives. Today, I want you to learn the adjective позитивный and заметный. So, позитивный, a pretty obvious adjective, same as in English, positive. So let's look at some collocations. Позитивный момент. Позитивная оценка. Позитивное мышление. Позитивные перспективы. I hope you have позитивное мышление, positive thinking. This is a neutral noun in Russian. Позитивное мышление. And the adjective заметный. Заметный прогресс. Masculine. Заметная разница. Feminine. заметное улучшение, neutral, заметные знаки, plural. Both adjectives belong to the hard ending. So they were born with the hard adjective ending. And of course, you remember, all adjectives always have two letters as their ending. So when we change them, or when we decline them, we will change the last two letters, not just one, like in nouns. In our sentences, we have позитивные последствия, plural. The adjective is in its plural form because the noun is in the plural form. And заметный is masculine because it refers to a masculine noun. But which noun? We don't have any noun following it. However, if you read the whole sentence, actually the whole utterance, the whole passage of his speech, еще один шаг в укреплении национальной валюты. Ну, такой шаг. So it's all about the word шаг. Такой шаг, глобальный шаг, заметный шаг. That is why заметный is in its masculine form. Very good. Next topic.
Practice posing questions to the sentences.
In this section, let's practice asking and answering questions with the word какой, which or what kind. As you know, this word is an adjective by its form, so it will change by gender depending on the noun that is the answer to this question, and it will also change its endings by the case. So, let's look at the very first sentence of this excerpt. У нас самые низкие тарифы все равно. Let's take the basic sentence. У нас самые низкие тарифы. Let's say you want to find out what kind of prices, what kind of price plans do you have? And you ask these people a question. Какие у вас тарифы? So here, какие, which or what kind of prices do you have? This word corresponds to these adjectives. Well, actually, it's one adjective, низкие, in its superlative degree, the lowest, самые низкие. But both words here behave like adjectives in the plural form. And correspondingly, the question word, какой, which is its basic form, will take the plural form, какие. So, какие у вас тарифы? У нас самые низкие тарифы. Next sentence. Доллары в рубли. So the speaker here means that it's necessary, it's needed to transfer dollars into rubles, meaning to change the currency of the payment from dollars to rubles. And well, he says this in a shorter variant, just доллары в рубли, but it's okay because in Russian this part is in accusative case and it means direction, the meaning of direction here. The same meaning as when you say, for example, куда ты? Куда ты? Я в магазин. So you don't really say the word to go. You don't say I go. You can even omit this verb to go. You can just say я в магазин, denoting your direction, where you are going. Same thing here. Доллары в рубли. So dollars are kind of moving into the direction of rubles. So we are transferring them, the currency from dollars to rubles. But the full context, of course, is this. Нужно перевести доллары в рубли. And imagine that your conversational partner didn't hear the last word. So they didn't understand what this word was, what the currency was to which you need to transfer dollars. And you want to ask a question about this word. You can ask во что, so literally to what it's needed to transfer dollars. Во что нужно перевести доллары. Same case here, accusative in the meaning of direction. Or you can literally ask to which currency it's needed to transfer dollars. And here, again, we will use the accusative case in the meaning of direction, but with the word combination какая валюта. Какая валюта, nominative case of which currency. Валюта is currency. But in accusative case, we will change the endings, of course, because валюта is feminine. Какую валюту нужно перевести доллары? And the short answer will be в рубли. В рубли. And the third example. Ну, вы в этом направлении двигаетесь? Vladimir Putin asks the deputy minister, are you moving in this direction? В этом направлении. Here, it's the location case. You might ask, why? We're still speaking about direction, but we don't actually say to which direction, in the direction of what we are moving. Here we mention this, in the direction of rubles, literally. В рубли. We say exactly which direction, where to 2 rubles. Я в магазин, where to the shop. But in this case, it's just this word combination, in this direction. And in Russian, we will render it in the prepositional case. В этом направлении. The same case as when you say в этом здании, for example, in this building. В этом направлении. Направление and здание are both neutral nouns. So the ending ие, they have the ending ие. So this is the ие part of the rule. And we will change it to ii, в направлении. And imagine, again, that after being asked such a question, let's say the deputy minister didn't really understand what the president is talking about. So he may ask, в каком направлении? So in which direction? What do you mean? В каком направлении? So see here the question word, какое, the neutral form of it, because направление is neutral, will acquire the prepositional case ending. Again, why? Because this is the structure here. The initial structure is this, the prepositional case, in this direction. In which direction? В каком направлении? So, the ending ом on the question word какое is the same as the ending ом on the demonstrative pronoun это, because they belong to the same paradigm, the same structure of the prepositional case. Let's do it again. I want you to give me a short answer when I ask you these questions. So, какие у вас тарифы? Самые низкие. В какую валюту нужно перевести доллары? В рубли. вы в этом направлении двигаетесь? And you will say в каком направлении? And I will say в этом направлении. So I will repeat my answer, which is the same structure as your question. Very good. I hope you practiced it. Moving on to the next part.
Learn colloquial expressions and the meaning of confusing words.
The first expression that we came across here and which I really like is на секундочку. It can be used in its literal meaning, for a second, or in a slang meaning. So let's see. Можно тебя на секундочку? Or, as Vladimir Putin says in this excerpt, я вас прерву на секундочку. So in these sentences, на секундочку has a literal meaning for a second. The preposition for here is translated as на. It has many translations into Russian. Watch my other video on the preposition for and how it is translated into Russian. So this is the literal meaning for a second. Можно тебя на секундочку? Can I talk to you for a second? Pay attention that here we don't even use the verb to talk. We just say kind of may I have you, тебя, you are the object, на секундочку. And a figurative meaning of this phrase. Let me describe a situation to you. So, for example, you are having a debate with someone and you are referring to one of your friends. I don't know, let's say his name is John, and you say, well, John thinks this should be done like this. And your opponent says, well, who's John? He doesn't know anything, he's stupid, and so on. And you want to give a counter-argument. Он, Джон, на секундочку, специалист с 8-летним стажем работы. So, just so you know, for your information, he's a specialist with 8 years of experience in this field. And do you have any experience? So this phrase here, на секундочку, it doesn't really translate literally for a second, and I don't know why it acquired such a meaning, but the meaning is, for your information, you just emphasize that this person, despite of what you think of him, in fact, as a matter of fact, has quite a lengthy experience in this field. So you shouldn't say such things about him. На секундочку. Next, давай or давайте. I'm sure you have heard this word a lot, and because we Russian speakers use it all the time. And actually it comes from the verb давать, дать, to give. Давать is the imperfective aspect of this verb. Дать is the perfective aspect. So, давай or давайте, the formal version, comes from давать, the imperfective aspect of the verb to give. So, actually, these forms are kind of imperative forms, but they don't have the meaning give me. We don't use them to ask a person to give something to us. To do this, we will use the perfective aspect. So if you want to ask someone to give you something, it will be дай. Дай or дайте. But what is давай, давайте? It is used as an invitation to do something. Kind of like, let's do something. For example, in this excerpt, we heard «давайте сделаем это». Так давайте сделаем это, says Vladimir Putin. So let's do this. You invite the person to do this with you. Сделаем. And very often, the verb that comes after давай or давайте is in the мы form, in the we form, because you invite the person to do something together with you. And this verb, the verb that follows давайте, can be also in the perfective aspect or in the imperfective aspect. So what is the trick here? Most often when you ask someone or when you invite them to do something with you just one time, and this sentence is positive, you will use the perfective aspect. Давайте сделаем это. Or давай приготовим ужин. Давай сходим в кино. So these verbs will be perfective. If you don't want this person to do something, you will use the imperfective aspect in the negative form. Давайте не будем делать это. So let's not do this. And again, the verb is in the мы form because it implies that you are going or not going to do something as a group. We. Kind of like in English, you also say let's, which is let us do something. So us also implies that there is more than one person. There are more aspects of this very, very common word in Russian, and I'll make another video on it. And now let's move on to the next part.
Listen to my thoughts on the issue in slow Russian.
К сожалению, у нас в России многие чиновники совершенно не боятся президента. Как это ни странно, президент у нас в России не является главой ни законодательной, ни исполнительной, ни судебной власти. Он не царь, не император, не король, не генеральный секретарь. Он президент, и его полномочия ограничены Конституцией. К примеру, в некоторых странах президент может совмещать полномочия и президента, и главы исполнительной власти, но не в России. Поэтому многие чиновники считают себя маленькими царями на своих должностях. Они боятся только своих непосредственных начальников. И часто чиновники и их непосредственные начальники вместе составляют ОПГ – организованные преступные группировки. Именно такие группировки и воруют из государственного бюджета. Мы все чаще и чаще видим в новостях, как арестовывают то одного губернатора, то другого, то целую группировку. Я думаю, что эта проблема, к сожалению, существует во всех странах мира.